I'm joined today by Mohamed Nsouli, ISG Director at Dell Technologies. Thanks for joining us today, Mohamed.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So, to kick things off, I just wanted to discuss with you, with everything happening around the world today, how do you build a truly resilient infrastructure? Because a lot of time people talk about backups, secondary copies, golden copies, but is that all it is, or can we look at something further than this to enhance our resilience?
So resiliency in today's world has changed drastically, especially with the last events that we had in the Middle East. And when we look at it, it's not really about building resiliency on infrastructure, it's business resiliency. End of the day, this infrastructure is there to run your business as an organization. So the first thing a customer should be looking at is, how do I build what we call a service catalog for my different services that make up my business, right? So these services are then sitting on applications, and those applications are sitting on infrastructure. So the first thing you do is you start on the top layer, my services. What SLAs do I need for these different services? Which services are connected to other services? What are the application dependencies? And then you look at the resiliency of the infrastructure itself to serve those different SLAs. And here, when we're talking about SLAs, we're talking about the RPOs and RTOs of those different services that you're looking at. Then you need to start defining the different outages that could impact your business and how you want to handle these different scenarios. So first of all, customers used to think about, I want to build a disaster recovery solution. But in fact, if you look at all the analysts, disasters count for less than 5% of these occurrences. So you have outages that will come because of a maintenance window, human error. You're doing just a normal upgrade to your environment. So you need to be ready for all those different scenarios. So once you build that kind of resiliency on the infrastructure, you need to look at it from a security perspective as well. How do I handle cyber attacks? What if the cyber attacks comes to this service? How do I protect the other services? And so on and so forth.
And when we talk to different customers about resiliency, it's a heavy investment effort, CapEx, OpEx, and ongoing complexities it adds because you're dealing with a larger and larger landscape. In your experience, where are we going wrong in some of these scenarios in terms of building our resiliency strategy? And there's always early warning signs that indicate something is off plan. So how do you look at this?
So I would say, where we go wrong typically is we think that we're ready today. It means we're going to be ready in a month or in 2 months. Building a true resilience plan is an ongoing thing. Your environment is continuously changing. You're launching new services. You're doing a lot of patching and changes to your environment. So you need to continuously monitor these changes and how it impacts your resiliency plan. We all want to build a lot of automation into our disaster recovery or resiliency plan. But that automation means everything below it needs to be carefully planned and carefully patched and controlled, I would say. So the early signs of going wrong, I think one of the things that I typically ask a customer is, when was the last time you did your last DR drill?
Yeah.
And how did it go? Yeah. When was the last time you had an unplanned issue, like an outage when you're doing a certain maintenance task? What was your response? How did your environment handle it? The other thing is, it's important that you're able to map your services and your applications to the infrastructure. So if I come and ask you, if we go to row 5 in your data center and I take down rack E, for example, how will that impact your business? How are you going to be able to restart your services if that happens and I just pull the plug on that rack? So these are the kind of things that you need to be able to answer to know that I'm ready for these kind of scenarios.
Very valid points, because I've seen a lot of scenarios where the unplanned is what actually ends up happening. You can plan 100 scenarios, there's always 101 that happens. And what we see is this maturity in business continuity, disaster recovery, infrastructure, service delivery. It takes years to mature, right? I mean, this is not a 6-month project and you're good to go. It's an ongoing capability enhancement, maturity inside the operational procedures in the organization. But if I'm a CIO, where do I start and where can Dell help me?
Great. So as a CIO, if I'm starting today, the first thing I want to look at is a gap analysis on my environment. I need to understand where these different services are mapped and which infrastructure beneath these services is unable to address the business SLAs that I'm asking it to handle, applying those different outages that might happen from a security perspective or from maintenance, disaster recovery, and so on and so forth. So that's where you should start off doing that gap analysis. Now, where Dell can help our customers, of course, everybody knows Dell has the state-of-art infrastructure technologies across the different layers. And we have the golden standard when it comes to replication technologies and immutable snapshots and all these different capabilities that build that kind of resilience on the data itself. But where we need to start with a customer is what we call an infrastructure resiliency workshop. So we can help customers with our expertise, and we have an extensive set of resources in the region who have done this many times and have the experience to help our customers mitigate that gap and understand what are the roadmap and the next steps they should take to address all these different vulnerabilities they may have in their environment, which will impact their business resiliency.
So you're not selling them a product, you're basically helping them solve their problem. Great.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Nsouli. It was a pleasure. We'll see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.